Hello and welcome back to another review with me, Kevin, from Kevin Grant on Whisky. Last week it wasn't much of a review, it was a live, my first ever live I've done from my phone for having over all you followers with me through my time here. So I apologise for not having a video out then, but I've got a new whisky this week which has been gifted to me just before my birthday. So if my algorithms all go correctly, this will be out on Friday the 5th of May. My birthday's the 6th of May. So on that as well, happy birthday to Mr. Aquaviti Roy Duff. His birthday is the 5th of May. I always remember that. So before we start, I'm going to get this in the glass to give it a wee bit of time to breathe, and I'm going to talk about what we have here. So let's see what we get first. First pop. Yep. Satisfying. So it's going to be the first pour of it. It's going to be kind of neck pour. Let's see what we get. But as you can see here, this is another Cadenheads bottling that I've got. It's a new style of bottle they've got, which I prefer. I think it's nicer. But this is the Cadenheads Natural Strength Cab Franc Cask Matured, but, and this is a big but, it's from Ben Nevis Distillery, 10 years old at 55.9% ABV. So it's a Cab Franc matured. What I was able to find out is it's had 5 years in Cab Franc casks. But the cool thing about this from the 5 years is it's been ex long row red. So if you buy long row, each year they'll bring out a long row red, which is sometimes we've got a Malbec, they've got the Cab Sauv here, they've got a Cab Franc, and other styles. I remember having this and being my favourite long row red when this came out 5 years ago. I think I've done a review on it. I'll need to try and find it if I did. But I've honestly tried this when it was a long row red, the peated Cab Franc, and I absolutely loved it. We look at Ben Nevis. Ben Nevis is a Highland distillery, which is at the foothills of Ben Nevis itself. We look at Long John MacDonald, who founded the distillery. Ben Nevis is a distillery in itself, but they also had a sister distillery, which used to be just the Nevis distillery, just because the Dew of Ben Nevis was such a highly selling whisky in itself, and the blend, they wanted to compete with other blends at the time. You kind of fast forward after Long John MacDonald passed away, unfortunately. You fast forward, I think it was the 40s and 50s. You look around, it was Joseph Hobbs, this eccentric Canadian. He made all his money in Canada and started buying distilleries. I think he was part to do with Bruichladdich at the time as well. He bought over and he put in concrete washbacks, I think it was. He put in a coffee still. He tried to make this a completely different style of distillery. Due to everyone else closing down, he decided to put about £2 million into the distillery itself to bring it back up. But because it was such a crash at the time in whisky, it never came through, unfortunately. You fast forward again to 80s to the 90s, you look over and Nikka come in, big Japanese distillery, Japanese owners, they come in and take over and are still in ownership today at Ben Nevis. And if I'm still led to believe, I can't find 100% of it out, that Nikka being owned, the Japanese owners have got about 80% of the new make spirit from Ben Nevis being shipped over to Japan to make Nikka, and then we get it brought back here. So they've obviously got something here, that the way the distillation is made from Ben Nevis itself, to pass it back to Japan, to then age it in Japan, to then bring it back and ship it around the world. They love the style of spirit that's been made, and for me personally, I also do. I look at Ben Nevis and look at 1996. For some reason, whiskey from Ben Nevis in 1996 is unbelievable. I don't know much about champagne, but when I speak to people that enjoy wine and enjoy champagne, they'll always say about certain years that you would drink champagne as the premium year. For some reason, 1996 Ben Nevis is, for me, the year. I was able to try a 26-year-old last year at the Glasgow Whisky Festival, and it honestly knocked my socks off. So when I can see a Ben Nevis something different, I'm always going to try and get my hands on it, because it is difficult to get here in the UK. You don't see too much of it, maybe because that 20% is coming from the distillery itself, and 80% is going out to Japan and we're getting it brought back. So here we have, as we say, a Cab Franc cask mature, big, bold red wine. The colour of it is beautiful. We're looking at a peated cask as well from Long Row. Ben Nevis itself, I always find this kind of funky, lightly peated note to it. I can't really understand if that's going to be the same if they've done it this time. So it's been 5 years and just a standard bourbon cask, and then 5 years in this. So it's had half its life in each. But enough of me chatting about it. Let's get in. Let's get the nose on this. Let's get on the palate. See what the ABV is doing. Are we going to get that? Are we going to get some big ruby, juicy red wine notes, or are we going to get some peaty notes? I'm really not too sure, to be honest. It's Ben Nevis itself. I always get this kind of quirky, Dunnagey warehouse, slightly sulphur note as well, but there's a sweetness in the background. And I'm hoping if I can get that from here, plus the red wine cask, I'm going to be on to an absolute winner. But let's see first of all. So colour-wise, it's kind of ambery, amber gold. It's nice and light in colour. The oils in the glass as well, really good. It's not straight away, I wouldn't believe cask strength by the look of it, but let's get on the nose. So there's that. I would say juicy red notes, big, bold red wine. In the backdrop there's that kind of slight Dunnagey wet nose, that slightly eggy note. It's not too sulphury, it's more damp, but there's a sweet note in the forefront from the I'd say the red wine cask. I'm getting no peat from an ex long row cask, and long row itself is the heaviest peated range that you'll get from Springbank distillers. So Hazelburn nothing, Springbank about 10 ppm, and then long row I think it's like 40, 50, somewhere about there, but there's nothing there for me. So I think from this cask alone it's taken the full flavour from the red wine and not from the spirit which was in there previously from, I say, a long row spirit. So it's big jammy forefront, there's a waxy note again, that kind of beeswaxy, candle wax, soft, kind of damp note, and big red bold flavours. So blackcurrant, cherry, there's a kind of like a not a sweet orange, but there's a little kind of marmalade orange note coming through. Again, no ABV hit on that. I would be, in a blind tasting, I'd be sitting thinking this is in the 40, 43 mark. I think it's very hidden by how quality the casks have integrated together from the Ben Nevis new make itself, and then from that big, bold red wine cask. Let's try this in a palate, see how we do. Slange around. I would say you get a bit more of the ABV hit there. There's what would I call that? Coffee, kind of milky coffee note from there with the chocolate on top. So that's milky coffee, chocolate sprinkle, slight notes coming through from the cask itself and those red fruits. There's an ashy note coming from there as well, and kind of burnt wood, ashy wood, kind of cappuccino, I think is what I was looking for. So it's sort of a kind of cappuccino note, slight red berries, ash, slightly drying as well. It smells great. I think it takes away from what I know Ben Nevis as, because I'm used to Ben Nevis and a lot of bourbon casks, like the 10-year-old or the cask strength or the McDonald's from Ben Nevis or the Duo Ben Nevis and things is more bourbon orientated. Excuse me, this having such a huge, bold Cab Franc is definitely taking a bit of the forefront here and taking away that sulphury wet note in the backdrop. So if you don't like Ben Nevis for that front because you're not too good with sulphur and so forth, this definitely hides it, but it gives you that meaty Ben Nevis kind of chew to it as well. Still drying, there's a wee bit of purpuri in there. Cherry, blackcurrant, blackberry, still slightly dunnage. Sweet. So 55.9%. Distilled in 2012, bottled in 2023. There's only 270 bottles made. I was going to Edinburgh the other day, and whilst I was on the train, scrolling through Facebook, about 7 minutes into my train journey, Cadenheads put out there was a Ben Nevis for sale, so a light jog all the way down to Cadenhead shop and picked myself this up. Well, it was bought for me as a gift for my birthday. So a wee bit of water in there. It doesn't change too much. I feel in the nose now we're getting a bit more of that kind of cappuccino, that kind of chocolatey note. With a softer note of blackcurrant, black cherry coming through. But it's more that milky coffee, chocolate sprinkled, cherry blackcurrant on top. It's drying, it's bold. Ashiness is still staying there. I'm going to say that's from probably the previous cask. The Cab Franc, if you like your wine, this definitely has red wine notes to it. I can taste that, I can definitely get there. I think even if you're, say, new to whiskey and you understand what sherry is, if you understand sherry cask matured whiskey, you would know this isn't sherry cask. You would think it's something different, and that's a good thing. It's that different from sherry. It's a lighter weight, it's drier now. And I think that might be from the ashiness, the Cab Franc cask itself. It's staying that slight orangey marmalade's kicking about as well, but it's staying cappuccino, blackcurrant, black cherry. The ABV isn't there, so it dries off straight away. It's not giving me that alcohol hit, that burn. It's an easy sipping. It's a Ben Nevis in a different light. If you're not, as I say, if you're not too sure on Ben Nevis, this is one to go for. I think this was £55, 270 bottles only out there. Cadenheads doing what they do best. Just putting things in bottles that are brilliant. I'm very happy with this. It's a Ben Nevis. I've not had Ben Nevis in the shelf for a while, so I'm finding it hard to find, and I have a wee look on auctions now and then to try and find something from 1996 at a good price, but I think everyone else is on to me and they're in the same boat. Fruity, ashy, cappuccino, brilliant. I'm a big fan. I'm happy with this. So I'm going to hope this one gets better through the more it goes down, but I've enjoyed it so far. I'm going to go and sit back and enjoy the rest of it. By the time this goes out, hopefully Friday the 5th of May, I'll be enjoying a wee dram on the 6th of May, is the day after my birthday, so maybe get a wee birthday bottle, who knows, I can do another wee review next week with something a bit different, but we'll find out. But again, thanks everyone for tuning in, and thanks everyone for following, subscribing, being on my live last week as well, and listening to my story so far. Hope to bring you more this year and something different. If there's anything you want to see, please just let me know. I'll do my best to try and find it and review it for you. But as always, I've been Kevin from Ken Grant on Whiskey. Join me next week. Let's talk whiskey. Slange.